Hey there, community bankers. Welcome back to The Correspondent, your go-to source for all things community banking. From trusted correspondent partner, independent correspondent Bankers Bank. I'm one of your hosts, Madison Caplinger, our marketing associate, and I'm here today with our Human Resources Director, Britney Leach, to talk about employee retention and engagement for community banks. So every year, the American Bankers Association releases its list of the best banks to work for nationwide. And this year, several of our customer banks were on it. So shortly, I'll be sharing an interview I conducted with one of them, Citizens Bank, West Virginia, in Elkins, West Virginia, on some of their practices and what led them to receive that award. They actually ranked number 19, which is really impressive. So, Brittany, I know that employee retention and the labor market has been a pretty hot topic over the last few years, as especially smaller institutions struggle to retain their staff. So, as a human resources professional, tell me a little bit about how you've been seeing that play out.
Yeah, so obviously, employee retention is pretty high on the list whenever you think about your priorities when you look for staff. So for us, we have really redeveloped what culture and primary focuses we want our staff engaged in order to have staff that's there for long term, but also not burnt out. I think that one of the biggest reasons for turnover is burnout and not feeling like you're being adequately paid. So then you start looking at competitors. And for us, we've really just redefined how we do our pay ranges for each role, how we're fairly compensating staff, and then also looking at different ways to keep engagement with staff throughout the year, like doing employee events and contributions, potlucks, just different things that kind of make staff feel engaged and appreciated. And I think that that's super important.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's kind of the direction I've seen the conversation going. And from just the conversation I'm hearing, online and everything, it seems like a lot of employers are still kind of hesitant to take that approach because obviously it is a little bit more expensive. And we talked about this a bit with Kathy Leombruno from Citizens Bank, West Virginia. Have you seen that added expense of, making sure the employees are paid what they're worth and, spending some money on these engagement events? Have you seen that incur a return?
Yeah, I think that there's going to be some upfront cost, obviously, but here's kind of the mindset that I think you need to have whenever you approach looking at your pay ranges and the cost that you spend on employee events is if you have a high quality, energetic staff member that's engaging, doing a fantastic job, reaching for the stars, and you are not paying them sufficiently, what is it going to cost you if you lose that person? What's the cost going to be for the gap that you have of overworking your other staff while you're trying to get someone in to replace that person? Can that person be replaced with one person? Sometimes it may take two people to replace tenured staff that has just gotten to a groove of doing things so efficiently that they're able to complete the task that really is a two-person job role. So you really have to look at what it's costing you not paying those people what they deserve, not engaging in your staff and your employees like you should. I think long-term, your expense is going to be significantly higher by not doing those things. So yeah, you're going to see some upfront cost, but if all you're paying attention to is your bottom line in dollars and not the bottom line of your overall health of your staff, you're really costing yourself a lot of money because a happier staff is going to be more engaged, more productive, and in turn, you're going to see a bigger return on your investment whenever you invest in those employees.
Yeah, absolutely. I've in the past likened it to driving around with your check engine light on. It's, you save a few dollars up front by not taking it to a mechanic, but then when your car blows up, it's like, well, you're out of luck.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for community banks that are listening and maybe they're tracking with you and like, okay, yeah, it's worth the upfront cost. What advice would you have for them as far as like, things they can implement or some kind of attainable ways to work on their intention and their retention and their engagement?
I think that the biggest priority should be to evaluate your job descriptions and your pay ranges. I think that should be at the highest point in your list whenever you're going through how to improve retention. So you really need to dissect those job descriptions, make sure that they're effectively describing what that role entails. And if you have a CFO, for example, that is doing more than their job description, we either need to redefine the job description itself to include those roles, or that needs to be broken out into a separate role where you may have to get a new staff member to fill that. So I think you need to reevaluate all your job descriptions for start. And then once you have those job descriptions defined, then you move into doing a competitive analysis for your salary ranges. So you want to look at a market comparison, and there's tools out there. And if anyone wants some recommendations, feel free to reach out to me directly. But there are tools at your disposal that you can look into to do a market analysis for your state, your region, national, to see what the average pay is for that role. And then you want to make yourself strategically a little competitive whenever you're looking at that range, because, if you're paying minimum to average of what everybody else is paying and you don't have a happy, healthy work environment, then retention is going to be more difficult. But if you're competitive and you have a happy, healthy work environment, retention comes easily.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're seeing an environment now where employers have to be a little bit more competitive to keep people. And I'm not sure if that's a result of the pandemic or if that was already brewing, but I definitely think that the labor market is a little more selective in what they'll tolerate right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely an employee market right now. As employers, your knee-jerk reaction is to go on the defense. So you have a staff member that says, oh, I've received an offer from such and such bank, so I think I'm going to be putting in my notice. And then the knee-jerk reaction is, oh, well, we'll match it. We'll pay you more than what they're paying you. Don't leave. And in reality, you need to be evaluating your staff to where this doesn't happen, to where you're paying them effectively and efficiently and competitively up front, to where if they get another offer, they don't even question it, that they know that they are being taken care of where they're at and that they're happy where they're at. And that's really going to be your best approach, because if you go on the knee-jerk reaction of trying to match competitors' rates whenever they're recruiting your team, then most employees are going to feel like, well, if you are willing to pay me that now, why didn't you pay me that before?
Right.
So I think it's really important for employers to just recognize that there is a value in having your staff, and there is a value in being competitive and analyzing your data and ensuring that you're being compensating your staff fairly, but also creating a culture where they feel valued and appreciated. Because then it's not only going to come down to the dollar, they're going to make sure that they have a happy, healthy home versus work life, that their benefits they're happy with their benefits package. So it's really an overall approach that you have to look at, but it definitely starts with the job descriptions and salary ranges, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the basic building blocks. And as a fairly recent hire, I can attest that you guys are doing great, because I have gotten emails or LinkedIn messages like, hey, look at this job, and I'm just immediately like, nope, no thank you, go away.
That's great to hear. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so thanks for chiming in on this conversation. And coming up, I have an interview with Kathy Leombruno, who is a Senior Vice President and Marketing Officer at Citizens Bank West Virginia in Elkins, and she's going to be sharing a little bit about some of their practices. So it's a really good conversation, and I really hope you guys get some value from that. So, the reason that I wanted to talk to you, I thought this would be a really good conversation for some of our community bankers to hear, is that you guys were ranked number 19, I believe, on the American Bankers Association's Best Banks to Work For list for 2022.
Yes, yes, we were excited to get that.
Yes. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Were you expecting to earn a spot on that list or to rank so high, or was that like a complete surprise?
Certainly, we were expecting to be on that list. It was very nice to be ranked number 19.
Right. So, tell me a little bit about Citizens Bank West Virginia. How long have you guys existed, and what's your market like? What's your clientele like?
Okay, we are 98 years in existence. We have 6 offices in 5 counties. We are in a rural market. We have 96 employees, and we're about $561 million in assets.
Okay, interesting. So, what part of West Virginia are you in now?
We're in north central West Virginia.
Okay. Yeah, so I know that being in a rural market, I grew up in a rural area in northeastern Kentucky, so I kind of understand that there's some unique challenges that come with that. One of them being retention, because you have talent moving to um, other areas, unfortunately. Um, but one of the reasons, from what I read, that you guys were able to rank on this list was that because of some of your internal training programs and your kind of habit of promoting from within, and employee retention has been a challenge for organizations, all over the map, especially since the pandemic and especially in rural markets. So, can you tell me about some of those efforts and the philosophy behind them?
Sure. Well, we're very fortunate that we have a president and CEO that makes it a very high priority to assure that our management team, our department supervisors are working to their potential, and our bank culture is always healthy, it's positive, it's productive. So our focus is always on the employees, making sure that everyone has the tools, the empowerment necessary to get the job done. So that's why I think our bank is always thriving, and that our president and CEO, as well as our board of directors, is generous in rewarding our employees for the continuing success. Um, and speaking to our employees, every month the bank goes that extra mile to do something special for our employees to show their appreciation for their contributions. So we provide either a luncheon, maybe sometimes it's a special logo gift. We do fun desk drops. It could be maybe if it's we have a local festival, it's a strawberry festival, so we might do a strawberry pie that month for them. This past month, when it started to get cold here, we gave everyone a toboggan with our logo on it. So every month it's something different that we give our employees, but it's just a nice perk. We issue $100 every year to our employees. To Lands End, we have a storefront with our logo items in it, so they can spend that $100 every year. And it just goes on and on with what all we do for our employees.
Yeah, that's awesome because you don't find that everywhere necessarily in an employer. Not even just the perks, but just the attitude of generosity and caring.
Right.
Yeah, so, and you've seen some of these efforts help you retain talent during, the pandemic and the what they're calling the Great Resignation. Feel free
Yes,
to.
we really did not see that runoff. Certainly during COVID, we did buy I think we purchased 20 laptops, and there were some employees that we allowed that flexibility and allowed some to work from home. Or certainly they had child care issues, so some of them needed to be home. And we had to learn to adapt like everyone else across our departments with the employees that were absent. That cross-training, that cross-knowledge became very important. And we had to identify any weak links and correct all those. But our force adapted, and we all came back stronger than ever. But really, we didn't see any big runoff or anyone decided, hey, I want to start working from home. We really didn't see that. We were very fortunate.
So your employees are pretty much all back in office now?
Yes.
Interesting.
Certainly once in a while, we have that flexibility if someone needs to work from home. We now know that it is possible and we can allow that.
Yeah. That's interesting. It seems like there's more of a nationwide demand for remote work, but is it that you haven't really seen that out of your employees, or did you just have a different kind of response to it?
I think we have a different kind of response. Certainly if there is a need, a child care need or whatever need it is, certainly we now know we're capable, and if needed, that employee can work from home in special situations, but I don't think we have anyone demanding that they work from home.
Okay. Interesting. That's great for you guys, especially because in a bank setting, obviously there are going to be people that do have to be there every day.
Right.
Yeah. So I know that instituting training and ongoing education and employee engagement is a goal for a lot of institutions, but obviously not every institution does that effectively, and it doesn't seem to yield the same results for every institution as it has for you guys. So in your view and in your institution's view, what are the keys you think to effective employee training and coaching?
Well, we have ongoing huddles, so we meet every week. Part of the team meets on Wednesday mornings, the other part meets on Thursday mornings. And we do this because we know that hundreds of businesses got their start at our neighborhood bank, and we need to be their lifeline and financial partners. So we need to make sure that we're energized and focused and always on top of our game. So we have this weekly either product knowledge or customer service training. And so we do that every week. And then every year we have a boot camp. So on President's Day, when everyone else is taking it off, we're all gathered together and doing an 8-hour training that day, again, on product knowledge or customer service, just to make us better at our jobs and more experienced and better bank professionals. And our employees embrace this and actually start to look forward to it. And again, we reward our employees for coming out on that day. We give them a floating holiday. And we usually issue bonuses at the end of that day for, a good year. The prior year, they get a nice bonus check at the end of that training.
That's really wonderful. I think that's a great incentive to keep people engaged and keep people kind of looking forward to that training. Just from what I have observed, it seems that that's what a lot of people are looking for out of their employer now. Not just the opportunity to learn and to be trained, but also an incentive for doing so, a reward, and to be compensated for kind of going the extra mile.
Again, I give lots of kudos to our president and CEO. He really values each of our staff members, and he wants them to grow into their jobs and be better at their jobs. So that ongoing training has a lot of emphasis here and gives that opportunity for career advancement then.
Yeah. So have you seen employees kind of go through that training and advance within your institution as a result?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of people that have started out as tellers here and have grown very quickly into other roles in our bank. And we definitely promote within before, we go hire outside. Definitely people get an opportunity to apply for those jobs. And it's easy to advance here.
That's great. I think that's something that a lot of people are looking for as well, a place where they can grow and not be stuck in the role in which they enter.
I agree.
Yeah. So I'd like to touch on not just the training and coaching piece, but the engagement piece. You talked about, rewarding your employees and kind of engaging them. What are the keys you think to keeping employees,
Some other
engaged?
things that we do. So every anniversary, employees receive $100 and a nice handwritten note from the president of our bank. And then every 5-year milestone, the employee gets $20 for each year of service. And then we also do a nice Facebook post congratulating them on their milestone year. We do a nice family picnic every year. Usually that's an overnight stay at a state park, and then we usually hire a band or a DJ. It's just a really nice event. We do a Christmas dinner and dance for our employees and their spouses or significant others. And then because we sponsor so many events in all of our communities, there's usually other special staff events they get to go to. For example, they might get special seating at some concerts. We're getting ready to sponsor Grease at a local playhouse, so we get to go to the dress rehearsal and watch it. There's always perks like that for our employees. Something we do is called gold mining. So it's excuse me one moment. It's a reward. It encourages and rewards ideas to improve either our customer service, our product delivery, the efficiency, etc. Of our programs here at the bank. So if you can save the bank money, if you can make more money, if you can give an idea to deliver better customer service, and that idea is adopted, they're going to receive a financial incentive. And then just for giving us the idea, their name goes into a drawing for logo packages. So that's very well received, and we've adopted many, many ideas through our employees. Another thing we do is employees can buy up to 5 extra vacation days a year. They love that benefit. Trying to think of something else maybe I might be missing. They can dress down every Friday, so they pay $2 to dress down. And this year in 2022, we gave $8,600 to charities. That makes employees feel good too. Collectively, we're helping a lot of nonprofits in our communities. I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
No, yeah, absolutely it is. Those sound like some really cool perks and really cool engagement ideas, and things that I think community bankers across across the state and across really anywhere could put into action and see results from. I think the thing that you've really hit on is the ability for your employees to be rewarded for their effort and compensated for their effort, and turn that into why anyone has a job, which is income.
Yeah. The other thing our bank did this year, which was really cool for our employees, we took all of our employees and their spouses, our board of directors, for a 2-night, 3-day, all-expense-paid corporate getaway to another town. And then we paid for all their activities, including an escape room. We did axe throwing. There was a smash room, a paint room. They could do canvas painting. There were spa treatments. And then we had a dinner and dance. And we also took that time to do some recognition and accolades for every employee and department of the bank. But it was a fantastic getaway. And the bank put out a lot of money for our staff, just as a thank you for having a fantastic year I think we did this in March, so it was for the year 2021 to celebrate the success of that year. But our employees were just over the moon for everything the bank had done for them. We hired chartered buses to get them to all their activities, so they didn't have to put out a dime other than to drive to the town where we had it. And we even gave them gas money to get there. So that was a really nice perk for our employees.
That's awesome.
Yeah, everyone had a great time.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So I'm curious.
So we work hard and we play hard.
Yeah. No, I understand. We at ICBB, we're a lot the same. So how have you seen, because I can only imagine that, having access to, all of these perks and being rewarded for your hard work, I can only imagine the positive effect that would have on your culture and your morale. How have you kind of seen that play out among your staff?
They love it. And we have certainly people that join us from other either financial institutions or just from other places that they have worked that say, no one has ever done this before. We're amazed at what Citizens does for their employees. And, certainly we tout this on social media when we go and do some of these things. And people are always saying, it's incredible what the bank does for their staff. And, we're happy that you all treat your staff so well. And I think that is great that we can do this for our employees. And I think that's why our retention is so high. And that's why people want to come work for us, too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if I ever move to West Virginia, you've got my application.
All right, good.
Yeah. So, you mentioned the willingness to spend a lot on your staff and engagement and these perks, which is amazing. And, the only pushback I could foresee you, getting to that if, you had a little bit of a different minded board or CEO being, the expense of, having to pay for all of those things. So can you speak to kind of how what the return on that expense looks like, what the return on investment is of going to such great lengths for your staff?
Well, we're fortunate that our income certainly has been going up every year since our CEO has been doing this. Don't know what that will look like if it reverses, but what we're seeing right now is that we are getting return on investment. I'm not sure how to speak to that otherwise. Right now we're seeing a CEO and a board that fully supports putting the investment back into the employees because they see how hard working the employees are and how the team is working together to make sure that we are working for our customers and working for the bank at our fullest potential.
Right.
And the dividends are paying off right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it does make sense that, potentially there's a tie between, your current CEO and these staff initiatives and the fact that your income has kept going up.
Right. I mean, this year we were ranked 10th in the United States and first in West Virginia in our peer group as a top performing bank in the country. And we were named for the third year to American Banker's Top 200. In fact, we moved way up in our ranking to 44. We were named our local newspapers, People Choice Bank. We were named in another county, the Business